What's up guys, PrettyBoyJack here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my current PC build. We're going to run some benchmarks and see what kind of performance ratings I'm getting. So I guess the first question to answer is, why even benchmark a PC and what does that do? Well, a benchmark is a test of performance, if you will. It can either test one component or a whole system, and then it gives you kind of like a grade so that you know how fast your computer is and you know where it's weak in. If one component is testing very low, you might want to upgrade that in the near future. Today, we're going to be running two benchmarks. The first is going to be in a program called RealTemp. RealTemp is a free to download program on the internet, and it allows you to see how hot your CPU in each of the cores is getting in real time. It also has a built-in benchmarking test, so we're going to be running that and see what results we get. As far as the benchmarking goes, it's really easy to run the test. You kind of just click a button and then about 30 seconds later you have a result. It's my understanding that this is a whole system test that checks your CPU processing power, speed in megahertz, and the amount of time it takes to process the test. It then compares that to the results of running an i7 processor at 4,830 megahertz for a simple comparison. Overall, my computer scored a 1752 out of 1976. I'm only 224 points off of a much more powerful computer than mine, and I'm running a weaker processor with a slower clock speed. The next benchmark we will run will determine how well we can run games on this PC. We will be using Unigine Heaven 4.0 for this benchmark. This program runs graphics on your computer and loads the computer as if you were playing a video game. You can change the settings to have different load settings, just like you would in a game, like high or ultra, which are the two that we will be running for this benchmark. There are three key things that we are looking for. The first is frame rate. We want to see a steady frame rate over 60 frames per second. You can tell if we're not hitting this because things will start to stutter or stop. We also don't want a low minimum FPS. Basically what the program does is it has the highest frames per second, the lowest frames per second, and then gives you an average score. We don't want to see the lowest frames per second drop below 30. The second thing we're looking for is temperature. We don't want our graphics card to be overheating. We want to get the highest setting visually that we can get while keeping a cool temperature. The third is visual fidelity. We want things to flow over the screen. We don't want shadows to pop in. We don't want any kind of weird ambient inclusion things. We want a smooth flowing picture. On ultra settings, my PC scored a total score of 2450 with a minimum FPS of 9.1 and an average FPS of 97.3. During this test, there were some visual jitters when we hit the night scenes, and that produced the frame rate drop to 9.1. We had a bit of a stutter there. But overall, I'm fairly pleased. It was very good, and it looked good, and we're able to play on ultra settings. Plus, I reached above my 60 average frame rate goal. On high settings, I scored significantly better. In the high-end test, my PC scored a 3168. I had an average frame rate of 125 and a minimum frame rate of 28.8. It's amazing the difference in performance that just lowering the visual fidelity one step will make. So, what do these tests tell us? Well, I can run games on ultra with decent settings, but I am going to look at a performance loss. Or I could run them on high and have very high visual fidelity. My computer may drop some frames over very heavy load, but overall, I think I have the power that I need to play the games that I want. Plus, the best part is, it doesn't look like I'm going to need any kind of massive hardware update anytime soon. Most of my things were not taxed, and I only had a fluke frame stoppage that produced the 9.1 minimum FPS. I will have to continue to test with more graphically intensive games to see how my PC performs throughout the year. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, and you can follow me on Twitter right here. I'm PrettyBoyJack, and I'll see you next time.